Chapter 1401, Enslavement after Victorious Fight. Chapter 1401, Enslavement after Victorious Fight. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Large numbers of your beasts, chicken, sheep, monkey, dog, pig, horse, tiger, rabbit, they bore their fangs and claws as they attacked Feng Jiu Ge. Feng Jiu Ge was soon encircled. But he was daring and courageous, his expression did not change, he was still calm and composed. "Come at me!" he shouted, his body shook as he used an immortal killer move. Ding ding ding. There was a clear crisp sound in the battlefield. It was like countless jade pearls landing on a jade plate. Immortal killer move, green jade song. The year beasts closer to him suffered injuries, they were corroded by the song as they quickly turned into green jade stones. The year beast's ferocious attacks were immediately resisted. But soon, from the year beast group, 8 ancient year beasts emerged. Dragon, snake, tiger, ox, they attacked Feng Jiu Ge from 4 directions. Feng Jiu Ge snorted, the sound waves around him grew more intense, around him, a green jade sound wave pushed towards his surroundings. Boom boom boom. The 8 ancient year beasts were pushed back to their original places by these intense sound waves. Before they landed, they were turned into jade statues as they shattered, dying as they broke into small jade pieces. Green jade song is so powerful. The Shadow Sect immortals lying in ambush saw this and expressed their shock. Only Fang Yuan's expression did not change. He knew some intel. He knew about the battle between Qin Baisheng and Feng Jiu Ge thanks to Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance. Feng Jiu Ge's green jade song has gotten much stronger since the Battle of Luo Pa Valley. It seems he has improved it a lot. Green jade song is secondary, but if he uses submission song, half of the year beasts here would likely turn into my enemy. However, even if that happens, hee. Fang Yuan laughed internally. There was a lump of water in his right palm. This ball of water was emitting a weak eerie ripple, looking at it, it seemed to be the water of the river of time. But in truth, it was a rank 8 immortal Gu. Years flow like water. Indeed, this immortal Gu obtained from He Fan's true inheritance had always been sealed. But now, Fang Yuan had unsealed and used it. Immortal killer move, year beast summoning. It was the same name, but the current year beast summoning was completely different from before. This was because the core was no longer year Gu, but the rank 8 immortal Gu years flow like water. He Fan's true inheritance was very detailed about this. There were 2 versions, year beast summoning using year Gu as the core, as well as using years flow like water immortal Gu as the core. The ordinary year beast summoning could only summon 1 year beast. But the one that Fang Yuan was using now could summon an army of year beasts. Immortal killer move, submission song. Indeed, as the battle continued, Feng Jiu Ge used this incredible killer move. The entire place was silent. The song could not be heard with the ears, it was heard in every Gu immortal's and year beast's mind directly. The year beast army went into chaos. Because many year beasts submitted to Feng Jiu Ge and fought against their former allies. Submission song encompassed wisdom path, enslavement path, sound path, and soul path, it affected the mind. The inspiration was obtained during the battle with Qin Baisheng when he used 5-finger fist heart sword. Many desolate level year beasts and ancient year beasts switched sides and obeyed Feng Jiu Ge. The battle changed intensely. Fairy Miao Yin and Lady White Rabbit, who were watching the battle, gasped in shock. But Fang Yuan was still calm. He continued to use immortal killer move year beast summoning. Rank 8 immortal Gu years flow like water could be used by even rank 6 Gu immortals. And Fang Yuan was already experienced with using this immortal killer move, year beast summoning, he had practiced it so that he could use it in battle one day. If one did not have huge worries, they would worry about smaller things. Fang Yuan was a vigilant person, he had preparations in advance, at this moment, he benefited greatly from it, thus he had no problems. Year beast summoning will continue to summon year beasts. I want to see how many your submission song can control. At a certain stage, even immemorial year beasts will respond and come here. Year beast summoning was a time path method that had the effect of enslavement path. An enslavement path excelled in battles of attrition. Feng Jiu Ge was a strong enemy. Fang Yuan was not counting on being able to kill him currently. Moreover, Feng Jiu Ge was backed by Heavenly Court. There might be other rank 8 Gu immortals hiding somewhere. Because of these two reasons, Fang Yuan decided to hide himself and use the year beasts to attack and expend his energy. An endless stream of year beasts continued to rush out of the tributary of the River of Time, responding to Fang Yuan's call and attacking Feng Jiu Ge. Soon, the number of year beasts on this battlefield reached 100 and more. A large number of year beasts made a circle and surrounded Feng Jiu Ge. Feng Jiu Ge relied on submission song to control the year beasts and avert the crisis, creating his own defensive circle within the encirclement. The battle was in a deadlock. This scene was clearly observed by Fairy Zi Wei. She was in Central Continent's Heavenly Court, but using the investigative killer move and star constellation chessboard, she could observe the entire battlefield clearly. Fairy Zi Wei's eyes were flickering with thoughts. Killing Fang Yuan and taking or destroying Red Lotus' true inheritance was her main objective now. She had already made all the plans. Feng Jiu Ge was just a part of them. Even though the battle was in a deadlock, Fairy Zi Wei was aware that Feng Jiu Ge was not using his full strength. Even if he was, he still had the rank 8 immortal Gu that Heavenly Court had lent him. Right now, everything is under my control. Fairy Zi Wei willed as the image on star constellation chessboard changed to another battle. Two Heavenly Court Gu immortals were fighting against an upper extreme Heavenly Eagle. This upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was the one which had escaped from Fang Yuan's control and flew away. The upper extreme Heavenly Eagle cried out. It had injuries on it. It did not have any immortal Gu. Even though it was an immemorial desolate beast, it was too hard to fight against two Heavenly Court Gu immortals. The battle was not in its favor. This upper extreme Heavenly Eagle has Fang Yuan's tracking method on it. As long as we capture it, I will be able to reverse deduce his location. Of course, right now, Fang Yuan and the others have been hit by my investigative killer move. Capturing the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle is to prevent Fang Yuan from regaining control of this immemorial desolate beast in the future. Fairy Zi Wei planned. Fang Yuan was a complete otherworldly demon. He was no longer under fate's control. He was the biggest uncertainty in this world. Right now, he had Giant Sun's true inheritance. The combination of otherworldly demon and luck path meant that these uncertainties were stacking up, leading to greater unknowns. Spectral Soul was captured already. Fang Yuan was now Heavenly Court's biggest threat. But Heavenly Court could not use its full strength against Fang Yuan. Firstly, Fang Yuan had extremely strong luck. If too many people went after him, he would benefit from the misfortune instead. Only someone of similarly high luck could stop Fang Yuan's luck path advantage from showing. This was the reason why Fairy Zi Wei arranged for Feng Jiu Ge to deal with Fang Yuan. Secondly, Heavenly Court also needed to develop. The Great Era was coming. The 5 regional walls would dissipate and the 5 regions would become one. Without any geographical obstacles, Gu immortals could travel freely. There was sure to be chaos. During such unprecedented chaotic battles, Heavenly Court would be in an awkward spot. Because it was encircled by southern border, northern plains, eastern sea, and western desert, Central Continent was right in the middle, bordering all 4 regions. Once battle erupted, Central Continent would face great pressure. It might get into great trouble. Thus, Heavenly Court needed to prepare itself. At the same time, Star Constellation Heavens will also instructed Duke Long and Fairy Zi Wei that she needed many rank 8 Gu immortals to hibernate in the future. Even though Fairy Zi Wei did not understand why this was needed, she trusted Star Constellation Heavens Will and Duke Long. Lady Zi Wei, there is great news. At this time, a Heavenly Court Gu immortal sent a letter Gu to Fairy Zi Wei. Fairy Zi Wei knew that this person was recently recruited, originally being a supreme elder in one of the 10 great ancient sects, Yuan Du. Ever since the Battle of the Dream Realm, Fairy Zi Wei had elevated multiple Gu immortals from the 10 great ancient sects to become members of Heavenly Court. The 2 Heavenly Court Gu immortals who informed Feng Jiu Ge and were now chasing the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle were also such people. As for this Yuan Du, because he cultivated Refinement path, Fairy Zi Wei tasked him with the mission of repairing Fate Gu. What good news? Fairy Zi Wei asked. I have bought a batch of your beasts in Treasure Yellow Heaven. The seller might not know, but these your beasts are different from normal your beasts, they are filled with heaven's will. I can use these your beasts as immortal materials to repair Fate Immortal Gu. Not only can we save time, we can use the heaven's will inside to increase the effects. Yuan Du was extremely excited. Very good. Fairy Zi Wei's eyes were shining, continue working hard. Yes, Lady Zi Wei. This was indeed great news. Fairy Zi Wei was quite happy. This way, Fate Gu can be repaired even more quickly, until its wounds are healed. With Spectral Soul captured now, once news gets out, it will shake the world and deter all the forces. Thinking of this, Fairy Zi Wei felt deep admiration towards Duke Long. Duke Long's wise and resolute attack created Heavenly Court's current huge advantage. If the 5 regions' chaotic war started, Central Continent could definitely benefit the most in the initial period. However, the true deciding factor of this chaotic war was one person. Great Dream Immortal Venerable. Western Desert. Fang Yuan was at a crucial moment. Fight Immortal Gu was activated, around it were a large number of supplementary Gu worms. Immortal Killer Move, Enslavement after victorious fight. The killer move activation succeeded, Fang Yuan's gaze turned sharp, he looked towards the Year Beast army. Countless Strength Path giant hands flew out and defeated these Year Beasts. The defeated Year Beasts no longer ran away, due to the effect of enslavement after victorious fight, they became Fang Yuan's slaves, gathering towards him. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know, report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1402, Farewell, Feng Jiu Ge. Chapter 1402, Farewell, Feng Jiu Ge. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Under the effect of Immortal Killer Move Enslavement after victorious fight, any life form defeated by Fang Yuan would have a high chance of being enslaved by him. The core of this move was the new rank 7 Immortal Gu that Fang Yuan just got, Fight. By using all sorts of Wisdom Path supplementary Gu worms, this Rule Path Immortal Gu displayed its unique value. Enslavement after victorious fight was created by Immortal Zombie Dali. Immortal Zombie Dali was a second-generation split soul of Spectral Soul, he was known as the Martial Dual Heavenly King. He cultivated Strength Path and Wisdom Path together, he had the great strength true martial physique. After the first-generation split soul, Purple Mountain True Monarch, turned into a purple gold rock, he took over as the leader of Shadow Sect. However, afterwards, a mysterious Gu immortal with a red lotus insignia on their forehead appeared. After an intense battle, he lost and was suppressed by Immortal Gu House Graceful Chaotic Dual Stage. This was the origin of the killer move Enslavement after victorious fight. It was an incredible killer move that combined both the profundities of Strength Path and Wisdom Path. Fang Yuan inherited Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance, he learned about this killer move. Of course, he was not familiar with it, he was only starting to use it now. However, unlike the other moves, this one only needed Fang Yuan to activate it in advance, he could sustain it very easily during the battle. Most immortal killer moves could not be used by Fang Yuan during battle because he was not familiar with them, if he failed in using them, he would be hurting himself. But at this moment, Fang Yuan had the initiative, he plotted to harm the Heavenly Court pursuers. Thus, he had enough time to prepare and after some failures, he successfully used enslavement after victorious fight. Next, Fang Yuan sustained enslavement after victorious fight as he multitasked, using year beast summoning to summon an army of year beasts from the tributary of the River of Time. However, even though there were many year beast summoning's flaw was still around. That was, the year beasts would not risk their lives for Fang Yuan. If they were injured, or if the enemies were too strong, they would retreat. This was different from soul beast summoning. The soul beast summoning that spectral soul created could force any soul beast to fight to the death for the Gu immortal, disregarding its own life. Year beast summoning was created by He Fan. Even though He Fan was a time path great expert, he was far inferior to spectral soul demon venerable. Of course, even so, the strength of year beast summoning could not be denied. All in all, this move was very useful. With rank 8 immortal Gu years flow like water as the core, the Gu immortal could summon an army of year beasts. Against the enemy, such a huge number would result in a powerful encirclement, unless the enemy was a special rank 7 Gu immortal like Feng Jiu Ge or rank 8 Gu immortal. But in the Gu immortal world, how many rank 8 great experts and Feng Jiu Ge were there? Clap clap clap. Strength path giant hands flew around, pushing the year beasts which were retreating onto the ground. These year beasts were under the effect of year beast summoning, fighting against Feng Jiu Ge. But after facing the power of Feng Jiu Ge, they wanted to retreat through the tributary of the River of Time. But Fang Yuan had already blocked their path of retreat. He used the giant hands to slam these year beasts to the ground. These year beasts were all subdued with enslavement after victorious fight and became Fang Yuan's slaves. But a portion of them were still resisting. Against these stubborn ones, Fang Yuan's response was to attack with more strength path giant hands. Clap clap clap. With several more slaps, very few of the year beasts stayed adamant. After all, they were not in good shape, most of them were injured from Feng Jiu Ge's attacks. Fang Yuan enslaved more and more year beasts. He opened his immortal aperture's entrance and kept these year beasts in his immortal aperture, as well as some year beast corpses. These unlucky ones were already injured and were killed by Fang Yuan's strength path giant hands when he slammed at them with too much force. Even though they died, they were still rank 6 and 7 immortal materials. Fang Yuan did not let go of any. On the battlefield, Feng Jiu Ge killed most of the year beasts, before Fang Yuan used year beast summoning again to call more year beasts into battle. Next, he stayed concealed by the Gu formation and used Feng Jiu Ge's strength to capture these year beasts. A moment later, Fang Yuan had 70 to 80 year beasts in his immortal aperture. Most of them were desolate level year beasts, a small portion were ancient year beasts. At this rate, I will be able to accumulate several hundred year beasts. Fang Yuan was joyous. Even though he did not have the batch of year beasts sold in Treasure Yellow Heaven, he farmed for them himself. He had quite a good harvest. However, with my soul foundation, I can enslave 100 year beasts at most. Fang Yuan estimated. His soul foundation was strong, but don't forget, he already had a group of eagles under his control. Maybe I should sell these eagles. Fang Yuan was hesitant, but he suddenly felt a shiver as his body tensed up. A strong and aged aura emerged from the tributary of the River of Time behind him. An immemorial year beast. It was lured here by years flow like water. Fang Yuan understood. Fang Yuan did not place years flow like water immortal Gu in the sovereign immortal aperture, thus, the immemorial year beast was lured here by the immortal Gu, arriving through the tributary of the River of Time. After sensing the aura of the immemorial year beast, the year beasts on the battlefield became frenzied, they suddenly fought more boldly. Feng Jiu Ge felt his pressure intensifying, especially when the difficulty of enslaving those year beasts with submission song increased by many times now. Rumble. A huge tiger claw emerged from the tributary of the River of Time. Creating a huge wave made of river water, the tiger claw struck at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan was prepared for it, he had kept the year beasts and shadow sex immortals in his immortal aperture. When the tiger claw arrived, he had already flown away. The huge tiger claw crashed down like a mountain. The formation that Fang Yuan created was destroyed by the tiger claw easily. Roar! The tiger immemorial year beast did not hit, but it sensed that the delicious year's flow like water was leaving it. It roared as the sound waves produced spread out like thunder. Swish swish swish. The tributary of the river of time created huge waves that crashed outwards. The tiger immemorial desolate beast was unhappy. It wanted to try and get out of this tributary of the river of time. But it was too huge, its foundation was too deep, this tributary of the river of time was too small for it. But it was not a problem. The tiger claws slashed around the place as the tiger immemorial year beast tried to expand this tributary of the river of time. The tributary of the river of time quickly became wider as its size increased. This superb time path resource point was ruined. Even though the size of it was going to increase by many times, it had lost its balance. After a while, this tributary of the river of time would entirely return to the main river. Of course, this was nothing to the immemorial year beast, it did not care. Feng Jiu Ge saw that Fang Yuan approached him, his eyes shined with brilliance as he stayed vigilant. Fang Yuan had Feng Jiu Ge blocking him in front and the immemorial year beast behind him. He seemed to be in great danger. But in reality, he was smiling lightly, feeling extremely confident. He did not even use reverse flow protection seal, he activated rank 8 immortal Gu years flow like water again. Fang Yuan has a rank 8 immortal Gu. Feng Jiu Ge's pupils shrunk. But he was not surprised. Fang Yuan took over Shadow Sect, it was normal to have such an inheritance. I wanted to get rid of all the heavenly court pursuers, too bad only Feng Jiu Ge came here. Humph. Fang Yuan smiled coldly, years flow like water immortal Gu stared to shine in a pure white light in his hands. The white light shone over the area, turning this dark tunnel into a bright place. Under the strong light, a Gu formation started to activate. This is... Feng Jiu Ge found that he was trapped in the Gu formation. But earlier, this huge Gu formation did not activate, it was hidden perfectly, fusing with the environment flawlessly. Rank 8 years flow like water, it was the core of this Gu formation, under its lead, the Gu formation activated. Feng Jiu Ge was on guard, but this Gu formation's power did not seem to target him. Rumble. Like a dam that had accumulated for years unleashing the floodgates, the tributary of the river of time turned into a raging river in a few breaths' time. It turned out that this Gu formation's true target was this tributary of the river of time itself. Feng Jiu Ge subconsciously held his breath. At this instant, the tributary of the river of time was overflowing, it seemed to have become the main river of time. The river water surged and created huge waves that blocked out the sky. The unstoppable waves devoured Fang Yuan instantly, before moving towards Feng Jiu Ge. Feng Jiu Ge naturally wanted to escape, even though there were many year beasts, with his nimble movement, they were of no obstruction to him. But the river of time could not be comprehended by normal standards. So fast. Feng Jiu Ge was dazzled, he found that the river of time's waves were already directly above him. The river of time was a time path secluded domain of heaven and earth, wherever it flowed towards, there was no concept of flow speed, only time itself mattered. The water of the river of time only needed an instant to travel 10 million li, or it could take 1,000,000 years to travel an inch. I cannot evade it. Feng Jiu Ge instantly understood this, he used his defensive methods to protect himself. Rumble. Hearing the sound of crashing waves around him, Feng Jiu Ge's body was engulfed by the huge waves, completely submerged. But Fang Yuan managed to emerge from the water of the river of time using the Gu formation. Flood discharge formation, break. Fang Yuan called out in his mind as the Gu formation broke apart. Without the Gu formation, the tributary of the river of time was instantly attracted towards the main river of time. This was because the flood earlier had surpassed the limits of this tributary of the river of time, such a tributary was not going to flow out of the main river. This was no longer the power of the Gu formation, it was the power of heaven and earth, the supreme power of the river of time itself. Rumble rumble. Amidst the loud crashes, Feng Jiu Ge was swept into the main river, even the tiger immemorial desolate beast that wanted to come out was obstructed by the main river. After a few breaths of time, the tributary of the river of time vanished completely, only a large area of the ripples of time were still flickering silently. The year beasts in the battlefield had all returned to the river of time. Farewell, Feng Jiu Ge. Fang Yuan said lightly as he stored the Gu worms used in the formation and left the place. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1403, Self-Love Immortal Gu. Chapter 1403, Self-Love Immortal Gu. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Northern Plains, Langya Blessed Land. In the refinement hall, after months of refining Gu, the most crucial moment was here. Langya Land's spirit stood at the edge of a refinement path super Gu formation, his eyes observed the Gu formation that was blazing with fire. This fire was icy blue in color, it was not hot, but cold instead. Even the super Gu formation could not isolate this blazing ice fire completely. Langya Land's spirit stood at the side of the Gu formation, his brows and beard were covered in a thin layer of blue frost. But he did not care, he was concentrated on that fire. Or rather, the profound ice at the center of the fire. The profound ice was still melting, but it was also continuing to form. The initial profound ice had sharp edges, but under Langya Land's spirit's refinement, it was already smooth and had a rather round appearance now. 5 traces of fan door wind. Langya Land's spirit suddenly said. Hairy Man Gu Immortal's 6th hair was currently assisting him, he quickly worked as he heard that, using a special method to take out 5 traces of the fan door wind from the immortal material inventory. This fan door wind was a rank 7 immortal material. It was very special. It did not grow in deep forests or mountains, or even the sky, it grew in the doors of the homes of mortals. Whenever this immortal material was produced, the mortal's door would not be able to close, it could only stay open. This special phenomenon attracted the attention of Gu masters very quickly, and caused Gu immortals to come and collect it. But initially, this fan door wind immortal material could not be used, nobody understood its use. But now, there were profound methods and plans to make use of it. The 5 traces of the fan door wind were carefully sent to the center of the ice fire by Langya Land's spirit. Soon, the 5 traces of the wind surrounded the profound ice, circling it like 5 delicate hands, hastening the transformation of the profound ice. Oh no! But the success was short-lived. Langya Land's spirit's expression suddenly changed as he called out. 6th hair had a feeling as he looked over. He saw that the ice fire had extinguished, the profound ice broke as the 5 traces of the fan door wind also vanished. Ah! I failed again. Langya Land's spirit stomped his feet, shouting loudly in deep anger and unhappiness. 6th hair sighed deeply. It was a pity. They were at the final few steps. But they failed. Their months of hard work had gone down the drain. If I used the hairy man heaven and earth style, this would not have happened. Langya Land's spirit snorted coldly. 6th hair quickly reminded, but first Supreme Elder, according to the sect rules, Elder Fang Yuan paid a huge amount of contribution points for this, we need to follow his request. Sigh. This Fang Yuan has lost his mind, why does he want to use the human Gu refinement method? Is he trying to mess around with me? The failure of the Gu refinement gave Langya Land's spirit a horrible mood. 6th hair quickly spoke up for Fang Yuan, Elder Fang Yuan has always been mysterious. Even though I do not like him, it seemed like he had used up all his assets for this, using a vast amount of sect contribution points to refine immortal Gu. He even needs 3 immortal Gu, if he wants to purposely trouble First Supreme Elder, he would not have paid such a huge price, right? Sigh. I was just venting. Langya Land's spirit was dejected, he waved his hand, let's rest first for a while. This is the 5th failure already. Fang Yuan's sect contribution points are not enough, contact him and tell him the result of the Gu refinement, if he wants more attempts, he will need enough sect contribution points. Yes. 6th Hare replied. Fang Yuan flew like an arrow shooting rapidly in the sky. He had no mood to admire the beauty of this desert, at this moment, his mind was on the battle against Feng Jiu Ge. That tributary of the River of Time in the Sand Whirlpool was a secret cultivation resource of Shadow Sect, it was listed in Shadow Sect's map. Before Purple Mountain True Monarch died, he had instructed me to go to the River of Time and interact with spectral souls while inside the ghost face Red Lotus. Even though Fang Yuan inherited Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance and obtained a lot of killer moves, immortal Gu recipes and secrets, he had only gotten about half of Shadow Sect's assets. The ghost face Red Lotus in the River of Time contained spectral souls will, it had almost all of Shadow Sect's cultivation details. It even had a portion of spectral soul demon venerable's true inheritance. Shadow Sect had existed for 100,000 years. When spectral soul demon venerable was alive, he had slaughtered the world and caused deep despair in everyone. Even though Shadow Sect was destroyed, the cultivation information it had was unthinkably vast and grand. For example, immortal Gu houses. Fang Yuan currently knew the complete construction details of 12 immortal Gu houses. But in actuality, spectral soul demon venerable and Shadow Sect had far more than 12. The rest of the information could only be obtained when Fang Yuan went to the ghost face Red Lotus. As for Red Lotus true inheritance, it is also inside the River of Time. I have Spring-Autumn Cicada, I hold the key to the true inheritance. Fang Yuan was definitely going to the River of Time. The tributaries of the River of Time in the 5 regions were his entrances. Even though Fang Yuan lost one to eliminate Heavenly Court's pursuers, it was not a problem. Shadow Sect had left behind 5 or 6 of them. However, in Western Desert, Shadow Sect only has control of one final tributary of the River of Time. To play safe, I should head to the 2 resource points first. Before I am completely ready, I should not go there. Fang Yuan made his decision. Right now, he was in Western Desert, it bordered Northern Plains, Southern Border, and Central Continent. But Fang Yuan could not go to these 3 regions. Central Continent had Heavenly Court and the 10 great ancient sects, Fang Yuan could not head there. Northern Plains had Longevity Heaven, which was hunting Fang Yuan. Southern Border had the Righteous Path Gu immortals who were chasing after Shadow Sect earlier. Western Desert was the best place to hide. As for Eastern Sea, Shadow Sect only had the location of one tributary of the River of Time. And unfortunately, this tributary of the River of Time was already taken by Miao Mingshen. Speaking of which, it was Fang Yuan's fault. He was the one who found it and told Miao Mingshen. Back then, Purple Mountain True Monarch had tried to use the tributary of the River of Time to meet the ghost face Red Lotus. When he was in Eastern Sea, he could not find the tributary of the River of Time, he had to go to Southern Border for that. My biggest problem now is the investigative killer move on me, it is exposing my location to Heavenly Court's Gu immortals. And without Dark Limit Immortal Gu's protection, Heavens will is plotting at all times to get rid of me. The problem is, I lack Immortal Gu, I have so many killer moves, but I lack the core Immortal Gu. With the core Immortal Gu, I will be able to dispel this investigative killer move and hide from Heaven's will again. While thinking, Fang Yuan received 6th Hare's letter. He looked into it and the contents made him frown. The Gu refinement failed again. Damn it. Even though he succeeded in plotting against Feng Jiu Ge, Heavenly Court was not only going to send him alone against Fang Yuan. Heavenly Court had other methods, it was only a matter of time. This Wisdom Path Immortal Gu, Self-Love Immortal Gu, needs to be refined as rank 7 from the start. It is quite difficult. I have been observing the Gu refinement all along, Langya Land's spirit has been giving it his all, he is not working half-heartedly. 6th Hare said. Fang Yuan did not suspect his words. Xianxia Lan's spirit was straightforward and honest. Fang Yuan believed it. The failure was normal. After all, the success rate of a rank 7 immortal Gu was too low. But this self-love immortal Gu was necessary to Fang Yuan, and he needed it as soon as possible. With it, Fang Yuan would be able to use a killer move from Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance to get rid of the investigative killer move on him. This was possible. Fang Yuan had confidence in that. Refine it, we need to refine it, even if I go bankrupt, we must do it. Fang Yuan gritted his teeth, firming his mind. It was too easy to get Xianxia sect contribution points now, because Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance was too plentiful. But I cannot remain passive now. I succeeded against Feng Jiu Ge because I caught him by surprise and used the rank 8 immortal Gu years flow like water. Heavenly Court had not gotten information about it yet. But it has already been exposed, I need to hurry up. It seems I need to use that method. Fang Yuan's eyes shined with determination. He replied, for this refinement, Sixth Hair will do the refining while Xianxia Lan's spirit will help out on the side. Sixth Hair received Fang Yuan's reply and saw it, feeling rather surprised. He knew that his Gu refinement technique was inferior to Xianxia Lan's spirit, and since he was not purposely failing, why did Fang Yuan want Sixth Hair to do the Gu refinement? In the river of time. Raging water could be heard around him. Feng Jiu Ge was swept into the river by the raging waves. This is the river of time. He tried to regain his footing, but he felt the power of time path invading his immortal body. Strong. Incredibly strong. The protection of Feng Jiu Ge's immortal body was quite exemplary. But in just a moment, he felt that he was heavily resisted by the surrounding environment. Feng Jiu Ge understood that because he was full of sound path Dao marks, he could not coexist with the time path Dao marks. As expected of the river of time, I need to get out as soon as possible. Feng Jiu Ge wanted to leave, but looking back, the tributary of the river of time was already destroyed, only a thin ripple of time was left behind. This ripple was huge, but for Feng Jiu Ge, it was not an exit. This is a problem. I am not a time path Gu immortal, I cannot get out using the ripple of time alone, what can I do? While he was uncertain, Feng Jiu Ge heard an explosion. A tiger's roar could be heard, as a huge tiger-year beast emerged from the bottom of the river. With a loud sound, river water spattered. Feng Jiu Ge's pupils shrunk to pin size, his body was like an ant beside an elephant compared to the tiger-year beast. An immemorial year beast. The shadow of death engulfed Feng Jiu Ge. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1404, Zi Wei controls the situation. Chapter 1404, Zi Wei controls the situation. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Ding ding ding. Hearing the sound around him, Feng Jiu Ge exerted his full power at this moment. Immortal killer move, Green Jade Song. The range of his song extended for several hundred steps, the immemorial tiger-year beast's claw was covered in green jade color. But the claw was too huge, it still charged at him unhindered. Feng Jiu Ge gritted his teeth, dodging quickly. At the moment of crisis, he narrowly avoided the year beast's claw, even though he was not hit, the intense shock wave created from the attack assaulted Feng Jiu Ge. Feng Jiu Ge was like a kite with its strings cut, he was blown away. Guh. He was tossed up and flew above the river of time in an arc, spitting out blood in the process. No, my battle strength is too suppressed if I fight here. The river of time is filled with time path Dao marks, it has the most time path Dao marks in the world. With the conflict between Dao marks, my sound path killer moves have less than 10% of their original power. Feng Jiu Ge endured the intense pain and used his killer move to heal his injuries. His healing methods that were effective in the outside world had barely any effect here. Not only his healing methods, Feng Jiu Ge's movement killer move also became very slow. His green jade song originally had great power, but now, the tiger year beast only shook its claw to break that layer of jade rock around it easily. Evidently, green jade song was suppressed to the limit. Feng Jiu Ge only had rank 7 cultivation level. The reason why he had rank 8 battle strength was because his sound path Dao marks reached a quantity on par with rank 8 Gu immortals. But because of Fang Yuan's plot, he was thrown into the river of time. His greatest advantage became his greatest weakness. The sound path Dao marks were far inferior in quantity compared to the river of time's Dao marks. This was also why Fang Yuan was confident that Feng Jiu Ge would suffer here. The immemorial tiger year beast stretched out its tongue and licked its wound on the right claw. It had a ferocious gaze as it charged at Feng Jiu Ge. It was very strong to begin with. It lived in the river of time. The time path Dao marks in it complemented the river of time. Its territorial advantage was obvious. There were no rank 9 year beasts. Immemorial year beasts were the overlords of the year beasts. The tiger roared and whipped up a storm. The huge tiger year beast sprinted and assaulted Feng Jiu Ge fiercely. Feng Jiu Ge tried to block it. But soon, he was injured again. He was completely suppressed. There was no chance to win. If he wanted to live, he had to find a tributary of the river of time and escape. But hope was too small. Because it was not easy to find a tributary of the river of time. Even if he found one, it had to be big enough for him to cross over. Feng Jiu Ge was a sound path Gu immortal. He was not time path and did not have methods to escape from the river. Am I going to die here? Feng Jiu Ge had such a thought. But at this moment, a female immortal's voice resounded in his mind. Use that rank 8 immortal Gu. Rank 8 immortal Gu, fate armor. Feng Jiu Ge hesitated. Heavenly Court gave him this immortal Gu to protect his life. This was a defensive rank 8 immortal Gu. But Feng Jiu Ge had always been doubtful. Why? He did not have any weakness in defense. Even against Wu Yong, his defense could last for some time. Instead of lending this immortal Gu to him, they might as well have given him an immortal Gu for offense or movement. After all, Feng Jiu Ge's movement methods were lacking. And his 7 great songs, even though they were extremely powerful, they were killer moves. It was not as convenient as using one rank 8 immortal Gu directly to attack. After Feng Jiu Ge received this immortal Gu, he had tried to activate it. Fate armor was very powerful indeed, but it also expended a huge amount of immortal essence. Even someone like Feng Jiu Ge could barely endure the cost. If I stall for time, I will have to use my defensive methods while healing myself. If I use Fate Armor Immortal Gu, my immortal essence will not last for 50 breaths of time. Feng Jiu Ge calculated. But now, the immemorial year beast had already arrived in front of him. Feng Jiu Ge gritted his teeth. At the crucial moment, he chose to listen to that mysterious female voice. Rank 8 Immortal Gu, Fate Armor. At once, his red date immortal essence was rapidly expended, while a thin layer of armor made of light appeared on Feng Jiu Ge's body. But this armor made of light was completely unfazed by the immemorial year beast's attacks. It protected Feng Jiu Ge completely. Feng Jiu Ge was uninjured, but from the attacks of the immemorial year beast, he was slammed into the river of time. Once he fell into the depths of the river, a vast amount of the water of the river of time pressed towards Feng Jiu Ge. But fate armor was very impressive. It did not waver, only some small cracks appeared on the surface. But this was very impressive. It was just a rank 8 immortal Gu. And this river of time was a secluded domain of heaven and earth. Its Dao mark accumulation was on par with rank 9 immortal Gu. The immemorial year beast flowed along the river, charging at Feng Jiu Ge again. Feng Jiu Ge sighed in his mind, this is tough. He tried to struggle to fly and escape the river of time. But the immemorial year beast had wisdom too. It did not let Feng Jiu Ge achieve his goal. Feng Jiu Ge was trapped in the river by the immemorial year beast's attacks, and he was also affected by the flow of the river. The situation was getting worse for Feng Jiu Ge. He had lost all initiative. If this continued, by the time his immortal essence ran out, he would die. Did I make a wrong decision earlier? That woman's voice was just a trap. While Feng Jiu Ge was unsure, a vortex of flowing water assaulted and surrounded him. Feng Jiu Ge was caught by surprise and wanted to struggle, when he heard a voice, "Don't struggle, Feng Jiu Ge, I am a heavenly court Gu immortal, Lord Huangshi, I am here to help you." As he said that, the vortex expanded, until it was dozens of times as large as before. Countless bubbles obstructed the immemorial year beast's vision. Feng Jiu Ge did not dare to deactivate fate armor, but he allowed himself to flow along the tornado, returning to the surface of the river of time. Over there, a bald Gu immortal with yellow clothes was waiting for him. Heavenly Court. Fairy Zi Wei let out a breath of air. In the star constellation chessboard in front of her, the scene of Feng Jiu Ge being saved was displayed. At the crucial moment, the voice who reminded Feng Jiu Ge was naturally her, Fairy Zi Wei. Rank 8 Immortal Gu Fate Armor, its true use was to give Lord Huangshi an accurate clue to find out Feng Jiu Ge's location. The River of Time was hard to enter. It was harder for Gu Immortals to get in there compared to Black Heaven or White Heaven. Because rank 8 Gu Immortals were rare to begin with, and Time Path rank 8 Gu Immortals were just a small portion of them. But even so, Heavenly Court had its Time Path rank 8 Gu Immortals. Lord Huangshi was part of Fairy Zi Wei's arrangements. Originally, Fairy Zi Wei planned to have Feng Jiu Ge force Fang Yuan into the River of Time to find the Red Lotus true inheritance. By then, the Time Path rank 8 great expert Lord Huangshi could go and attack him. But Fairy Zi Wei did not expect Fang Yuan to give up a tributary of the River of Time to set a trap and try to kill Feng Jiu Ge. Fang Yuan, this otherworldly demon, he is truly crafty. But after this battle, we have probed most of the content of He Fan's true inheritance. Even though he gave up a tributary of the River of Time to make a trap, it affirmed my conjecture, Fang Yuan will definitely enter the River of Time and take Red Lotus true inheritance. With Fang Yuan's vigilant nature, it seems like he still has control of at least one tributary of the River of Time in Western Desert. It is not a problem, with my investigative killer move, Fang Yuan's location is still exposed to me. Feng Jiu Ge kept his life, Fairy Zi Wei immediately used star constellation chessboard to see another battlefield. Fang Yuan's upper extreme heavenly eagle was injured and was flying in Black Heaven. The two newly ascended Heavenly Court Gu Immortals were chasing it, they had suffered only minor injuries. The upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was powerful, but against two rank 8 Gu Immortals with immortal killer moves emerging one after another that coordinated with each other, it could not rival them. Feeling the threat of death, the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle moved according to its instincts, flying towards Black Heaven to try and shake off these enemies. Unfortunately, its actions were predicted by these two enemies. Boom! A killer move landed on the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle. The upper extreme Heavenly Eagle screamed in pain, it almost fell towards the ground but it tried to flap its wings and rise into the sky. The eagle blood spurted out, a long line of blood was drawn in Black Heaven. Immemorial desolate beasts had incredible healing speed, but the Heavenly Court Gu Immortals' killer moves were not simple either. The outcome is set. Fairy Zi Wei's gaze flickered. Even though the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was struggling, the course of battle was obvious, the two Heavenly Court Gu Immortals could not fail. One of them even used an immortal killer move to follow behind the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle. The faster the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle flew, the faster he would be. He could fly to wherever upper extreme Heavenly Eagle was without much effort. How could the wisdom of an upper extreme Heavenly Eagle match humans? Even human Gu Immortals could not counter immortal killer moves easily in battle. The two Heavenly Court Gu Immortals were afraid of the upper extreme Heavenly Eagle's last-ditch effort in attacking, and because they wanted to capture it alive, they kept dealing small injuries to weaken its battle strength. The upper extreme Heavenly Eagle could sense its bleak future, but it did not give up, it flapped and flew into the sky. Past Black Heaven, it came to White Heaven. The Heavenly Wind Chi Wall was not an obstacle to it. But for the Heavenly Court Gu Immortals, it was a different story. The two Heavenly Court Gu Immortals could not pass the Chi Wall easily. But they were prepared for it, how could Fairy Zi Wei not lend them an immortal Gu house in advance? You will stay here and prevent it from making a detour, I will chase it. The two Gu immortals cooperated perfectly, the upper extreme heavenly eagle had nowhere to flee. Even though some mishaps occurred, everything is within my expectations. Be it the humans, eagle, or Red Lotus true inheritance, nothing can escape my control. Inside Heavenly Court, Fairy Zi Wei's eyes squinted as she fully displayed the might of a wisdom path Gu immortal. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1405, Burning Soul Bursting Luck. Chapter 1405, Burning Soul Bursting Luck. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Western Desert. It was night time, stars were shining in the sky. In the desert, the difference in temperature during each day was larger, it was hot in the day and cold at night. Fang Yuan landed on a nameless sand dune softly. After flying for so long, there are no Heavenly Court pursuers coming. Was Feng Jiu Ge really the only one sent after me? Fang Yuan was suspicious. Forget it, I'll ignore that for now. Fang Yuan calmed down and opened his immortal aperture's entrance, letting out He Lu Lan, Bai Ning Bing, and the rest. Next, I will use a killer move with Wu Xie, our battle strength will fall, our safety will be in your hands. Fang Yuan said to Bai Ning Bing, Lady White Rabbit, Fairy Miao Yin, and He Lu Lan. The four immortals acknowledged it and moved out to patrol the surroundings. Fang Yuan set up an immortal Gu formation. With precaution immortal Gu as the core, the entire Gu formation's original form was a mortal formation from Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance. Fang Yuan was a formation path grandmaster, it was not hard to modify a mortal formation. After adding in precaution immortal Gu, the defense of this Gu formation could not be underestimated. Of course, there were weaknesses and flaws in this formation, but it was only needed for the time being. Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance had 4 immortal Gu formations, the strongest one was Purple Blood River formation. Unfortunately, Fang Yuan lacked certain immortal Gu for all of these immortal Gu formations, he could not set up any of them. If the Gu formation was modified and used a vast number of mortal Gu to replace the missing immortal Gu, the deduction would take 2 to 3 days. Because of many reasons, Fang Yuan chose to set up this Gu formation. This Gu formation was enough for now, it was to defend against sneak attacks from the enemies. Most importantly, Fang Yuan needed to race for time. Heavenly Court not sending any more pursuers instead made Fang Yuan more worried. The Gu formation closed, creating a simple temporary space. The Gu formation space was very simple, it could not compare to the southern border Super Gu formation's array of palaces. In this empty space, there was only Fang Yuan and Wu Xie. Sect leader, let me do it. For Shadow Sect, for our goal, I will do my best. Wu Xie was filled with fighting spirit. Fang Yuan nodded, then you can go first. Wu Xie sat down and instilled his immortal essence. A moment later, his aura shook, immortal killer move Burning Soul Bursting Luck was successfully activated. At once, Wu Xie's luck rose by many times, at the same time, he felt dizzy and nauseous. Burning Soul Bursting Luck was a killer move that expended the foundation of the soul to temporarily increase the Gu immortal's luck. Thus, when the killer move activated, not only did Wu Xie's luck rise sharply, his soul was also extremely weakened. But it was not a problem, Fang Yuan took out Guts Gu. In the process of cultivation, Fang Yuan had been accumulating his storage of Guts Gu to prepare for the worst. His vigilant act was very helpful to him, it was shown now when used on Wu Xie. Wu Xie rapidly recovered, he was no longer dizzy, he was just a little pale. Even though his soul was healthy now, his soul path Dao marks had reduced sharply. Burning Soul Bursting Luck permanently used up soul path Dao marks. And this killer move had requirements towards soul path Dao marks, to activate it, one had to use a certain number of soul path Dao marks. Because of this, out of Fang Yuan's side, only he and Wu Xie were able to use this killer move. The rest might have strong battle strength, but their soul foundation was weak. Experts had their field of expertise, not anyone could cultivate as widely as Fang Yuan. In fact, Fang Yuan could tackle so many paths because of the sovereign immortal body, and also because the dream realm raised his attainment level of many paths rapidly. After Wu Xie, it was Fang Yuan's turn. This killer move, Burning Soul Bursting Luck, used the Soul Path Immortal Gu, Soul Howl. With Wu Xie's guidance, even though this was Fang Yuan's first use, after failing twice, he succeeded in using it. Rumble. Instantly, Fang Yuan witnessed a mirage. He could see the luck above his head surging and growing, soaring towards the heavens. He nodded and informed Sixth Hair to refine Gu. Sixth Hair and Wu Xie had their luck connected. And before the Battle of Reverse Flow River, while Fang Yuan was chasing Wu Xie and the others, they had gone from Eastern Sea to Northern Plains. And in the Earth Trench in Northern Plains Zombie Alliance, Wu Xie was aided by Sixth Hair to escape, while Sixth Hair used Dark Flow Giant City to obstruct Fang Yuan. Wu Xie and Sixth Hair had their luck connected at this time. Naturally, Wu Xie still had Connect Luck Immortal Gu. To delay Fang Yuan, Wu Xie tried all kinds of ways to strengthen Sixth Hair. Luck was one aspect. Of course, in the end, Fang Yuan's pursuit was stopped, and Sixth Hair did not die. He managed to return to Langya blessed land safely. Now, Fang Yuan wanted to use this connection to raise Sixth Hair's luck. Initially, when Wu Xie was in Earth Abyss, he tried to use this move to refine fixed immortal travel. Too bad Heavenly Court refined it first. But his efforts were not in vain. It helped Fang Yuan to refine change form Immortal Gu. This information was obtained by Fang Yuan from Purple Mountain True Monarch. He thought of using it in this situation. After all, luck was the best method to help in Gu refinement. There was evidence of this. In the past, it was because of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable's luck path assistance that Longhair Ancestor could refine so many Immortal Gu for him and create 88 True Yang building. Perceivable Dao Immortal Gu. After using Burning Soul Bursting Luck, Fang Yuan used this Gu to inspect the number of Soul Path Dao marks in his soul. The numbers had truly been shaved off, his soul foundation was nearly crippled, he was back to square one. Fang Yuan had cultivated his soul for a long time. When he acted as Chang Shan Yin and roamed Northern Plains, before joining the Imperial Court contest, he had already started. Using Luo Pa Valley in Dang Hun Mountain, Fang Yuan's current soul path cultivation was very efficient and fast. After a long period, his soul had accumulated a great number of soul path Dao marks. But today, after using Burning Soul Bursting Luck once, all of Fang Yuan's effort had been obliterated. Fang Yuan did not feel much of a pity or shame, he could always regain the Dao marks later. But if he lost his life now, then it would all be over. If other Gu immortals like Bai Ningbing tried to use this move, how could they have enough soul path Dao marks for the expenditure? Fang Yuan suddenly thought of something, asking Wu Xie, with your soul path foundation, how many times can you use it? Wu Xie replied, I can use it 2 more times, but sect leader, you have Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance, you should know that the same person cannot use Burning Soul Bursting Luck repeatedly to raise its effect. It is useless even if I try it again. Fang Yuan nodded, I am just asking. He had a feeling of admiration towards Spectral Soul Demon Venerable. Wu Xie was a split soul of Spectral Soul, but he actually had the soul foundation to use Burning Soul Bursting Luck 4 times. Spectral Soul was indeed the legendary person who created Soul Path and cultivated to rank 9. Burning Soul Bursting Luck has been activated, this is all we can do. Let's go. Fang Yuan settled his thoughts and stood up. Soon, he stored away the Immortal Gu formation and the other Gu immortals into his immortal aperture before setting off again. He had to continue moving. Not only did Heavenly Court know his location and would send Gu immortals at him, even Heavens was plotting. If Fang Yuan and the rest stayed at a place for long, they would meet with many problems. In White Heaven, the upper extreme heavenly eagle shook off its blood and flew up. Behind it, an immortal Gu house carrying 2 heavenly court Gu immortals chased relentlessly. This upper extreme heavenly eagle is reaching its limit. That's right, it was really good at enduring and flying. Alright, let's end it, this move will let you rest. The immortal Gu house rapidly grew in aura as a golden beam of light shot out. The golden light was extremely fast, landing on the upper extreme heavenly eagle. The upper extreme heavenly eagle suffered a huge blow, it quickly flapped its wings and tried to escape. But the golden beam of light was long and thin, it was like a shadow, homing in on the upper extreme heavenly eagle. The upper extreme heavenly eagle's injuries got more severe, its body was covered in a layer of golden light, making its movement even slower. But at the next moment, a change occurred. A white cloud formed in the path of the falling upper extreme heavenly eagle. The upper extreme heavenly eagle fell into the cloud and vanished. Oh no, this is a black-white overturning cloud. Quickly stop the killer move, don't destroy this cloud. The 2 heavenly court Gu immortals shouted in shock, but it was too late, everything had happened too quickly. The upper extreme heavenly eagle vanished in the cloud, while the golden beam of light landed on the white cloud, dyeing it golden. The golden cloud became extremely heavy and fell downwards. At this time, the golden beam of light vanished as the 2 heavenly court Gu immortals stopped the killer move. But now, their smug appearance was gone, replaced by a dumbfounded look. How could this happen? Wasn't it too coincidental? The black-white overturning cloud can connect between black heaven and white heaven, anything that enters will be able to move between the 2 heavens. We were concerned about this, so we had already destroyed all of the clouds that could potentially be black-white overturning clouds already. To think that a new one would appear and the upper extreme heavenly eagle had to crash into it. This damned luck. The 2 heavenly court Gu immortals were going frantic, they wanted to spit blood, after so much hard work, and expending a great deal of immortal essence, right before success, this happened. Chase. The upper extreme heavenly eagle still has our investigative killer move. We will return through the heavenly wind chi wall and go back to Black Heaven. That's right, this is our first mission after joining Heavenly Court, how can we fail? Even if we have to chase it to the ends of the world, we will capture this upper extreme heavenly eagle. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1406, Self-Love Refined. Chapter 1406, Self-Love Refined. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. The upper extreme heavenly eagle actually escaped, how could this happen? In Heavenly Court, Fairy Zi Wei used star constellation chessboard to observe White Heaven's situation. She frowned as a bright light flashed in her eyes. Luck path. A guess appeared in her mind. She thought of 88 Truyang building, the culprit that destroyed it was Fang Yuan. What was the possibility that Fang Yuan obtained Giant Sun's true inheritance? Unfortunately, my investigative killer move can only locate Fang Yuan and the others, it cannot show their current situation. Fairy Zi Wei sighed and used star constellation chessboard again. At the next moment, the scene of the River of Time appeared in star constellation chessboard again. Feng Jiu Ge and Lord Huangshi had already flown to a nearby tributary of the River of Time. This tributary of the River of Time is not small, it is enough for you to leave. Lord Huangshi smiled, pointing forward, let me use my immortal killer move to send you out, don't resist. Feng Jiu Ge nodded, cupping his fists gracefully, I will trouble you. Lord Huangshi was about to speak when his expression changed. That tiger year beast is coming again. Feng Jiu Ge's expression also changed. No. Lord Huangshi's eyes looked ahead, in the river in front of them, there was a dense fog that emerged. Strange, why is there fog in the River of Time? Feng Jiu Ge frowned. Lord Huangshi was extremely excited, there was huge expectation in his eyes. This fog, don't tell me. At this moment, the two saw a faint silhouette in the fog. The figure was vague and concealed by the fog, it could not be seen clearly. Lord Huangshi's expression became even more heated, but Feng Jiu Ge was completely confused. Soon, the fog moved and exposed a corner of the huge silhouette. Feng Jiu Ge finally saw what it was. This looks like an island. That's right, this is a stone Lotus Island. Legend says that Red Lotus true inheritance is inside. Lord Huangshi's tone was trembling. Even though Red Lotus Demon Venerable and Heavenly Court were enemies, he was the absolute peak of time path, nobody could match him. Lord Huangshi, who specialized in time path, felt an unparalleled allure towards Red Lotus true inheritance. Stay here, I will return shortly. Lord Huangshi said that before flying out at a rapid speed. However, the fog seemed to respond. When Lord Huangshi got closer, the fog retreated. After a long time, Lord Huangshi did not manage to shorten the distance, it was lengthening instead. A moment later, the fog vanished, and the mysterious stone island went missing too. Lord Huangshi returned dejectedly, his expression was quite ugly. Even Fairy Zi Wei, who was watching this in Heavenly Court, had a look of disappointment. But soon, she frowned. She fell into deep thoughts. Why did that stone Lotus Island appear? Was it because Fang Yuan destroyed a tributary of the River of Time? But Lord Huangshi and Feng Jiu Ge had already left that place already, and most importantly, how can someone enter the stone Lotus Island? Must they have the key? Spring-autumn cicada. Southern border, Wu clan headquarters. A super Gu formation was created. Wu Yong stood in front of the Gu formation, observing it, he nodded, showing a satisfied expression. Beside him, a Wu clan supreme elder said, Elder Wu Bei, we have troubled you. It is my job to work for the clan, this was no trouble at all. Elder Wu Bei said respectfully and humbly. Among Wu clan's Gu immortals, he cultivated formation path. Not long ago, he even took over Fang Yuan's position to defend the Super Gu formation. After the Battle of Reverse Flow River, Fang Yuan returned from northern plains and plotted to get Wu Bei away from here so that he could return to the Super Gu formation. Elder Wu Bei actually managed to escape from danger because of this and did not join in the Battle of the Dream Realm. In this battle, Southern Border's righteous path Gu immortals suffered huge losses, even the immortal Gu used to create the Super Gu formation were taken by Heavenly Court. However, not long ago, even though Wu Yong failed to kill Fang Yuan, he managed to make a secret agreement with Heavenly Court. Wu Yong let go of Feng Jiu Ge, and Heavenly Court returned the taken immortal Gu back to Wu Yong. Wu Yong returned to Southern Border's righteous path and returned all the immortal Gu back to their owners. This act raised his reputation to the peak in Southern Border's righteous path. Southern Border's clans were all grateful to Wu Yong. Not only could he negotiate with Heavenly Court and succeed, he even returned every immortal Gu without taking any for himself, they were all in admiration. Furthermore, Wu Yong exposed his rank 8 immortal Gu house clear jade dripping wind tiny bamboo building, and after he showed his tremendous battle strength in the Battle of the Purple Blood River formation, all of the Southern Border super forces were apprehensive against him. Thus, even though he did not kill Shadow Sect's remaining members, Wu clan's status had changed drastically. The clans that took over Wu clan's resource points earlier retreated back to their own territories and even offered some compensation in a roundabout manner. Xiao clan was Wu clan's affiliate force, their territory, which was taken by Ba clan and Xia clan, was also returned on the basis of Wu clan's reputation. Wu Yong was not happy with such a result. After returning, he had been controlling the situation, negotiating with the super forces, getting them to hand over more benefits. Currently, both sides were still negotiating. Even though Wu clan was very forceful, the other super clans were not made of paper, they were adamant in defending their own interests. Wu clan's losses were indeed severe. All in all, they lost multiple Gu immortals, and Fang Yuan even cheated them of 6 immortal Gu and 100,000 immortal essence stones. But this matter could only be withheld by Wu clan. they could not openly seek Fang Yuan for trouble. Wu Yong wanted to compensate his losses from the other super forces, but he was not going to forget the demonic path scoundrel Fang Yuan. The Super Gu formation here was made based on Wu Yong's instructions. Not only did he put Elder Wu Bei in charge of everything, he even asked Qi Clan's Gu immortals for help. Alright, you can act now. A sharp light flashed in Wu Yong's eyes. He spoke to Wu Bei in a calm tone. Wu Bei's heart shook as he felt the anger and hatred underneath Wu Yong's calm expression. To think that Wu Yihai was an impostor all along. Humph, he was too daring, he actually deceived Wu Clan. We will show you now, there are some people in this world that you cannot offend. Wu Bei snorted coldly as he used his Gu formation. This immortal formation used an earth vein as the foundation, and Fang Yuan's life tablet Gu and soul lantern Gu, as well as more than 10 immortal Gu and an uncountable number of mortal Gu to create. Its effect was to find trouble with Fang Yuan. Every time it was activated, it would create a formless force that would cross southern border and be inflicted on Fang Yuan. This immortal formation was very powerful, it far surpassed the killer move that Wu Yong used against Fang Yuan earlier. At the same time, it was lasting. This was the advantage of a Gu formation. Once the Gu formation was created, the activation and deactivation process was very easily. It was not like a killer move, every use would have a complex process and every step would need to be accurate. Otherwise, the activation would fail and there might be a backlash on the user. Gu formations were different. After they were created, unless they were destroyed, there would be no threat of backlash. Let's try half of the power. Wu Yong added. Wu Bei nodded. Wu Yong was not doing this because he was magnanimous, it was so that he could conveniently negotiate with Fang Yuan. Don't forget that Wu Clan's immortal Gu were still in Fang Yuan's hands. Wu Yong naturally wanted them back. Even if Fang Yuan ran to Western Desert, Wu Yong did not give up on that idea. Fang Yuan's reverse flow protection seal is powerful and can deflect all attacks, but too bad. This move uses too much mental energy, and the immortal essence expenditure is high. How can Fang Yuan keep it active at all times? With this Gu formation, we can attack any time we want, and stop it at any moment. We hold the initiative. Let him suffer first before we negotiate. Wu Yong was already preparing his tactics. The Gu formation activated, and was about to unleash its power when suddenly, the ground started to shake. Rumble. The entirety of Wuyi Mountain was shaking. What is going on? Why is there an earthquake? Which Gu immortal is undergoing tribulation? This is not a tribulation, the earth vein is shaking, the entirety of southern border is implicated, this is far more severe than just an earthquake. Oh no, Elder Wu Bei. The surrounding Wu Clan Gu immortals gasped as they realized something. Boom! The immortal formation exploded as Wu Bei coughed out blood. After an anguished scream, he fell to the ground, unconscious. Northern Plains, Langya blessed land. Sixth Hair was covered in sweat, he was completely drenched, his hair was stuck together, it was a sad sight. The final step. Sixth Hair's eyes were red, filled with blood. Langya Land's spirit heard this and handed the processed immortal material over to Sixth Hair. Even though he was the first supreme elder, since Fang Yuan made the request, and the rules were set by Langya Land's spirit himself, he had to follow it. Thus, he did not mind helping Sixth Hair, he at most had some grievances against Fang Yuan. Ding! A long crisp sound came from the ice fire. Like the sound of clashing silver coins. Soon, the sound stopped as the blazing ice fire extinguished, only the round profound ice was left. Sixth Hair breathed roughly as he muttered, "Come out, rank 7 immortal Gu self-love." Crack crack. Cracks appeared on the profound ice before it broke apart, as an immortal Gu flew out. Rank 7 immortal Gu self-love was finally refined. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1407, Leaving Wu Clan Completely. Chapter 1407, Leaving Wu Clan Completely. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Rank 7 Immortal Gu Self-Love. Fang Yuan held this immortal Gu, he felt joy in his heart. It was not a waste that he expended all of his soul foundation, he obtained some useful results. Luck Path, after all, had helped a Gu Immortal to reach rank 9. I have dog shit luck Immortal Gu, and have connected my luck to Yi Fan, Hong Yi, and Han Li, these 3 lucky people. Furthermore, after the 2 uses of burning soul bursting luck, my luck must have reached an unprecedentedly high level. It is not strange that self-love Immortal Gu was successfully refined. This self-love Immortal Gu was refined by 6th hair and sent to Fang Yuan using Treasure Yellow Heaven. Treasure Yellow Heaven had a small commotion. But it was not as impactful as before. Because situations of using Treasure Yellow Heaven to transport Immortal Gu had happened many times already, it was no longer as rare. Especially recently, Wu Yong used Treasure Yellow Heaven to send a batch of Gu worms, and 1000 Transformations Ancestor also sold your beasts and created an even bigger commotion that was still ongoing. This is Self-Love Immortal Gu? Bai Ningbing asked. Before Fang Yuan replied, Ing Wu Xie said, of course. This Immortal Gu came at a perfect timing. With this Immortal Gu, we can use Immortal Killer move self-cleansing, we will not be afraid of any investigative killer move. Ha 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 ha. Ing Wu Xie said as he laughed loudly with his hands at his waist. He was currently using Fairy Chui Bo's body, his chest was huge and he had a beautiful face, but he laughed with his mouth wide open like a foolish hot-blooded teenager, it was quite amusing. Bai Ningbing shook her head as she watched, the lingering bit of pity she felt towards Ing Wu Xie vanished without a trace. That's right, this Immortal Gu, self-love, is the core of Immortal Killer move self-cleansing. This move can cleanse Dao marks on the Gu Immortal's body, getting rid of the unfavorable ones and only keeping the beneficial ones. Be it the investigative killer move or alliance agreements, as long as they are harmful to us, they can be cleansed. Fang Yuan explained. He Lu Lan's eyes shined brightly, she thought, this means that the killer move formed from this Immortal Gu can break the restraints of Shadow Sect's alliance agreement on me. She saw some hope. She did not join Shadow Sect willingly, she wanted to leave, but there was no way. Self-love Immortal Gu had a unique shape, it was not like a worm, but a horn-shaped rice dumpling, there was a layer of bamboo leaves around it, and there were even gray-white threads on it. 1. But this was not true. If one observed carefully, they would see that the surface of the bamboo leaves was completely one with the inside, the gray-white threads were the markings of self-love Immortal Gu, they flickered and changed locations every few breaths of time. He Lu Lan memorized the appearance of self-love Immortal Gu deeply in her mind. Fang Yuan touched the surface of self-love Immortal Gu as he said, let's move first before using this self-love Immortal Gu to get rid of the investigative killer move. The Immortals chose a direction randomly and moved for 100,000 li, arriving at the back of a huge sand dune. Fang Yuan started to use his killer move, while Ing Wu Xie and Gang went around the place to guard him. First, he activated Self-Love Immortal Gu. This rank 7 Immortal Gu was inside the Sovereign Immortal Aperture, floating in the air and emitting a sweet smell without any lights shining. Allured by the scent, large numbers of Mortal Gu were activated, moving around Self-Love Immortal Gu as they formed into a river of Gu worms. This was the first step of using self-cleansing. Evidently, Self-Love Immortal Gu was needed to make the first step. Fang Yuan was stuck here previously, undoubtedly, even with a vast number of Immortal Killer moves, they were useless without the core Immortal Gu. Next, Fang Yuan started to use some crucial supplementary Gu worms. These Gu worms were all Immortal Gu. Wisdom Path Immortal Gu obtained from Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance. Most of them were rank 7. This Immortal Killer move's difficulty was that the addition of every Wisdom Path Immortal Gu would cause a disturbance to the original Gu Worm River. Only skilled technique and extraordinary control could allow this step to be done. A Wisdom Path rank 6 Immortal Gu was carefully placed in. The river of Gu worms shook intensely, but it returned to normal soon. Fang Yuan's heart sank, this was just a rank 6 Immortal Gu, but was so difficult already. If he placed a rank 7 Immortal Gu, the result would be worse. But the second Immortal Gu was a rank 7 Immortal Gu. Fang Yuan waited for a while. After savoring that precious experience from earlier, he placed the second immortal Gu in. Progressing slowly like this, when he got to the third immortal Gu, Fang Yuan failed. The entire Gu worm river broke apart as Fang Yuan spat out blood from his mouth. Man as before. Once this immortal Gu was used, his injuries were healed. But the killer move's activation failed, they had to leave now. Fang Yuan and the rest packed their things and left the place. They could not remain at one place for too long, they needed to keep moving so that Heavenly Court and Heavens could not deal with them easily. Along the way, Fang Yuan thought about and collated his experiences. One could say that the entire group was relying on his killer move. This was the key to solving their problem. Even though this killer move had no offensive power. After the activation failed, they would leave. Along the way, he would learn from his mistakes, until the fourth time, Fang Yuan finally succeeded in activating rank 7 immortal killer move self-cleansing. It was not easy. A watery and gentle light flowed down from Fang Yuan's head, into his body and mind. Initially, the water was shiny and crystal clear, but when it got to Fang Yuan's feet, it became extremely murky. How was it? After the killer move was used, Xia asked. The other immortals looked over with concern. Fang Yuan used perceivable Dao immortal Gu to inspect himself. But the result was not satisfactory. We have a problem. His expression turned grim. Southern border. The Super Gu formation was dealt with. Supreme Elder Wu Bei, who had fainted, was also treated. Wu Yong looked at the huge pit with a dark expression. Why did the earth vein shake here all of a sudden? This Super Gu formation used the earth vein as the foundation, and it had a once in 10,000 years tremor. To think it would happen at this moment. Thankfully, I salvaged Fang Yuan's life tablet Gu and soul lantern Gu at the crucial moment, but we lost a rank 6 immortal Gu in the process. Wu Yong had a deep gaze. After this matter, his hatred towards Fang Yuan intensified. Lord Wu Yong, something is wrong. At this moment, Wu Fa reported, not only was there a tremor here, Tai clan, Yi clan, Chai clan, Qi clan, and the rest have all faced an earthquake. Wu Yong's eyebrows rose. You mean this earth vein tremor involved the whole of southern border? That is likely the case. Wu Fa frowned deeply. The earth vein was very important. An earthquake of such magnitude was unprecedented in southern border. This change was truly not normal. Wu Yong turned his gaze towards his hand. The 2 mortal Gu he was holding cracked and broke apart. They were completely destroyed. Wu Yong was shocked. Fang Yuan's life tablet Gu and soul lantern Gu were destroyed. Did he use some method against it? If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1408, Inextinguishable Star Target. Chapter 1408, Inextinguishable Star Target. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. On this day, in southern border, regardless of mortal or immortal, they went into panic and shock. The earth vein was shaking, affecting the entirety of southern border. Important areas were devastated, mountains collapsed as rivers were blocked, pits were buried. The power of heaven and earth was displayed openly with unparalleled might at this moment. Countless unfortunate mortals died in this vast calamity. The super forces were all collating their losses. Many mortal forces were exterminated. Even for super forces, they lost quite a few resource points. They had suffered great setbacks. This sudden earth vein earthquake made the tense southern border political situation go silent. The super forces placed their conflicts aside as they started to investigate the cause of the earth vein commotion together. Such an earthquake had not happened in the last 10,000, or 100,000 years, or even during the olden antiquity era or remote antiquity era. Throughout history, this was the first time. Southern borders Gu immortal world, be it righteous path, demonic path, or lone immortals, they were all nervous and curious about the cause of this huge commotion in the earth vein. The indication of the great era has appeared. Fang Yuan, who was far away in Western Desert, collected information about the commotion in southern border as he sighed deeply. At this moment, he had moved away again. To another location. When night faded away, light started to shine from the horizon. It was dawn. Soon, the sun rose up and restored the world to a bright state, shining down on the vast desert. It was a new day. Fang Yuan wore his white robe. He had a deep gaze as he looked at the rising sun with a deep mood. Compared to the rising sun, his future was not this smooth and hopeful. In the past, he was kept in the dark, but after getting Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance, he learned of the relationship between the Great Era and Spectral Soul, as well as Shadow Sect. The Great Era originally should have approached at this time. But in the 500 years of his previous life, Spectral Soul succeeded in defying fate. He resisted Heavenly Court and Heaven's will, using his supreme methods to forcefully stall the Great Era by 500 years. Heaven's will was forced into desperation by Spectral Soul. It had to take a big risk and use Fang Yuan as a tool to send him back to the past, using Spring-Autumn Cicada and attempting to thwart Shadow Sect's plans. Thus, the entire world went back to its original path. Without Shadow Sect and Spectral Soul, the Great Era started to unveil itself. The tremor of the Earth vein was the signal for the start of this Great Era. The Great Era is coming, the 5 regional walls are going to vanish. But before that, the Earth veins of the 5 regions, Southern Border, Northern Plains, Central Continent, Western Desert, Eastern Sea, they will unify and combine into one. For the following period, Earth vein tremors will continue to happen. Not just in Southern Border, the other 4 regions will also face it. The reason why Southern Border was the first to have these Earth vein tremors is because Southern Border has the most Earth path Dao marks in all 5 regions. Therefore, Southern Border's Earth vein is also the deepest among the 5 regions. Precisely so, when the Great Era descends and the world changes, it will be the first one affected. Fang Yuan had a pondering gaze. The Great Era descended like this, it greatly interrupted his former cultivation plan. In his original plan, he had a lot of time. Fang Yuan would continue to cultivate and use the dream realm to raise his attainment levels and accumulate wealth, while rising up in cultivation level. When the 5 regions chaotic war starts during the Great Era, he would have rank 8 cultivation level and deep foundations and wealth. Even if he did not reach Great Grandmaster in every path, he would be close. That way, he would gain the most benefits during the 5 regions chaotic war. But that was not possible now. The Great Era was coming too quickly. Fang Yuan's plans were completely disrupted. Not just that, he was currently chased by Heavenly Court and was plotted against by Heaven's will. He had to run every minute and stay alert. A strong enemy might appear at any time to kill him. This is a huge change. Currently, only I, Heavenly Court, Shadow Sect, and a few other forces know the truth behind the Earth vein tremors. However, the other Gu immortals are not stupid. After some investigation, they will realize this sooner or later. After a while, this will turn into a consensus and every Gu immortal would understand, an unprecedented change is occurring in the world. Sigh, my rebirth advantage is going to dwindle again. If not for the Dream Realm battle, I would still have my identity as Wu Yi Hai. Southern Border's Earth vein tremors will cause large amounts of earth trenches, pits, and countless rare beasts and plants to appear. This is a great harvest, all forces and Gu immortals will compete for them. Such things will occur often in the 5 regions, but Southern Border will be the most affected, because Southern Border's Earth vein has the biggest foundation, it has the most valuable treasures. The worst is Eastern Sea, because these are Earth vein tremors. Eastern Sea would have the least number of fortuitous encounters from them. Fang Yuan recalled. Eastern Sea has always had the most resources among the 5 regions. Because of this, Gu immortals from the other regions took risks to go there and explore it, trying to find ways to advance their cultivation. But Eastern Sea had the least gains from the Earth vein tremors. There was a theory in the 500 years of Fang Yuan's previous life. This fortuitous encounter of countless treasures was like the gift of heaven and earth, to purposely balance the 5 regions. If Fang Yuan was still using Wu Yi Hai's identity now, he would be able to gain great benefits. With his memories, he remembered many places where precious resources emerged, and even wild immortal Gu. Unfortunately, because his identity was exposed, these great fortuitous encounters were no longer available to him. Fang Yuan felt that it was a pity, but he did not know that this earth vein tremor helped him instead. Because of the earth vein tremor, Wu clan's immortal formation was destroyed. Wu Yong's plan failed and Fang Yuan dodged a crisis. He did not fall to Wu clan's scheme. The earth vein tremors were bound to happen eventually, but it had to happen at that precise moment. That was because of Fang Yuan's burning soul-bursting luck. Thankfully, I obtained rank 7 Immortal Gu Self-Love. After using Immortal Killer move Self-Cleansing successfully, I got rid of all the detrimental Dao marks on me, including Wu clan's alliance agreement. This way, Fang Yuan left Wu clan entirely. They were no longer connected. By now, my Life Tablet Gu and Soul Lantern Gu must have shattered. Wu Yong cannot use this to deal with me anymore. Even though his worries were lifted, Fang Yuan also saw a weakness of self-cleansing. Self-cleansing was extremely unique. It could cleanse all of the Dao marks that were unfavorable to the Gu Immortal, but the choice was not according to Fang Yuan's intentions. For example, Fang Yuan had gotten rid of the alliance agreement with Wu clan completely, but his alliance agreement Dao marks with other forces like Chu Du, Langya Land Spirit, the Variant Humans, and Crazed Demon Cave, were unaffected. This was because these alliance agreement Dao marks were not harmful to Fang Yuan. Self-cleansing would not get rid of them. However, the moment Fang Yuan betrays them, these alliance agreement Dao marks would activate and punish Fang Yuan. It would be too late for him to use self-cleansing on them. And most important was Fairy Zi Wei's investigative killer move. These Dao marks were very detrimental to Fang Yuan. Self-cleansing naturally got rid of them. But the shocking thing was, even though the killer move was effective and removed these Dao marks, they soon started to recover and grow again. At this speed, in just 6 hours, the Dao marks of Heavenly Court's investigative killer move would completely be restored. Self-cleansing is the strongest method in this aspect that Purple Mountain True Monarch had. Even though it is effective on me, the enemy this time is too powerful. The investigative killer move on me is likely created by Fairy Zi Wei using Star Constellation chessboard. Even though Fang Yuan was guessing, he was quite sure of it. Because he had seen such self-producing Dao marks before. It was his original body, the rank 6 Strength Path 8 armed heavenly immortal zombie body. Currently, in this body, the second aperture had completely broken down, while the first rank 5 aperture still had Spring Autumn Cicada sealed inside. Spring Autumn Cicada could not be used, because Heaven's Will was inside. And in the body, Wu Xia used his soul path method to set a vicious trap. Once Fang Yuan sends souls inside, the trap would activate and kill it, before nourishing itself and producing more soul path Dao marks, becoming even harder to deal with. This was the first time Fang Yuan saw self-regenerating Dao marks. Even though it was Wu Xia's killer move, Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable had something similar. After getting Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance, Fang Yuan learned that only rank 9 Venerables could create killer moves with regenerating Dao marks. Thus, Fang Yuan guessed that Fairy Zi Wei used Star Constellation chessboard to activate the investigative killer move. Because Star Constellation chessboard belonged to Star Constellation Immortal Venerable. Thanks to Fang Yuan's current identity, he had a deeper understanding of Heavenly Court than before. Fang Yuan recalled, it was true, the other Immortal Venerables or Demon Venerables had such methods. Dao marks replenished themselves without expending immortal essence. For example, Giant Sun Immortal Venerables rank 8 Immortal Gu Fortune rivaling Heaven. After Ma Hongyun used it, the lucky effect had lasted the entire time until he died. The true essence of his luck were luck path Dao marks. Ma Hongyun had luck path Dao marks on his body. He absorbed the luck of those around him, causing his fortune to rise. In the entire process, he did not have to expend any immortal essence or primeval essence. Thieving Heaven Demon Venerable also had such killer moves. Divine Concealment and Ghostly Concealment. These two defensive killer moves created a thin cloak of Dao marks on the soul. The former allowed the user to be free from heaven's will and deductions, while the latter made one unnoticeable to souls. This killer move's effect had always lasted without using any immortal essence. At the same time, if there was any damage, the Dao mark cloak would regenerate itself. It is publicly recognized that every rank 9 Venerable's main path is at Supreme Grandmaster. According to the cultivation experience from Purple Mountain True Monarch, Grandmaster attainment level is imitation of other paths, Great Grandmaster is the use of natural Dao marks, while Supreme Grandmaster is the regeneration of Dao marks and even self-sustenance, breaking free from the restriction of immortal essence. The classification was clear now. Purple Mountain True Monarch's inheritance gave Fang Yuan a clear recognition of all the Gu immortal attainment levels. Now, with his own experiences, Fang Yuan gained a lot of insight. The 8-arm heavenly zombie body's soul path trap could be resolved now. But the investigative Dao marks on the sovereign immortal body were hard to deal with. Using self-cleansing, I can get rid of a number of investigative Dao marks, but the more I reduce them, the faster they regenerate. Using self-cleansing killer move once will get rid of 10% of these Dao marks. But in half a day, they will completely grow back. This means that if I want to get rid of the investigative killer move, I will need to sustain self-cleansing all the time, for about half a month without any pauses in the middle. Fang Yuan estimated based on all the information that he had. It was problematic, the investigative killer move was far more troublesome than Fang Yuan had expected. And the most important thing was, this was unrealistic. Self-cleansing was not a sustained killer move, it had to be used each time. Each time he used it, there was a certain duration that it lasted. Even though he had self-love immortal Gu and successfully used self-cleansing, Fang Yuan did not get rid of the harmful Dao marks completely. He met with another problem. What should he do? If you are given enough time to prepare, you might be able to resolve it. But too bad, you have no chance now. In Heavenly Court, Fairy Zi Wei smiled. She was very confident in the investigative killer move used on Fang Yuan and the rest. Because this was Star Constellation Chessboard's method, and also the killer move created personally by Star Constellation Immortal Venerable, Inextinguishable Star Target. Compared to other investigative killer moves, Inextinguishable Star Target could only locate the position of its target. This effect alone was inferior to the method that Fairy Zi Wei used on Feng Jiu Ge. The latter allowed Star Constellation Chessboard to display the scenes of the target situation, one could easily understand what was going on. But Inextinguishable Star Target's greatest effect was that it could regenerate endlessly, normal methods could not get rid of it properly. One could say that as long as this killer move still lasted, Fang Yuan would be a pawn on Fairy Zi Wei's board, he could not escape her grasp. To eliminate him was only a matter of time. Against Fang Yuan and the others, Fairy Zi Wei had the complete advantage, she was unshakable in this situation. As long as Fang Yuan had no time or freedom to develop, as time dragged on, Fairy Zi Wei and Heavenly Court's advantage would get bigger and bigger. One could say, Fairy Zi Wei was in an invincible position. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1409, Lu Wei Yin. Chapter 1409, Lu Wei Yin. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Compared to fate, luck cannot last. Even though there were some mishaps, so what? Fairy Zi Wei smiled gracefully and elegantly. The star constellation chessboard in her hands displayed the figures of the two Heavenly Court Gu immortals. The immortal Gu house was flying. The two Heavenly Court Gu immortals had grim expressions, conversing with each other. The upper extreme Heavenly Eagle used the black-white overturning cloud to escape to Black Heaven. But according to the current time, it is already daytime in the 5 regions, we are in White Heaven now, so Black Heaven is above us. Therefore, we need to fly upwards past the Heavenly Wind Chi Wall to enter Black Heaven. That's right, we have already used investigative methods on the upper extreme heavenly eagle. As long as we get into black heaven, we will be able to sense it, there is no problem. If we meet the upper extreme heavenly eagle again, we cannot repeat the same mistake, we will to try hard and prevent it from escaping again. The two heavenly court Gu immortals were deeply confident, they had recovered from the setback earlier. Their confidence came from their great strength. With such strength, even if the upper extreme heavenly eagle had a few lucky breaks, so what? Could it rely on luck every time? As long as it failed once, heavenly court's Gu immortals would win, the upper extreme heavenly eagle would be captured with no way of escaping. Star constellation chessboard shook lightly, the scene changed as Feng Jiu Ge was shown. At this moment, Feng Jiu Ge had already left the river of time, he was in western desert. But this time, because he used a different tributary of the river of time, even though he was in western desert, he could not return using the same way. Fairy Zi Wei gave him advice. Feng Jiu Ge was currently very far away from Fang Yuan. Feng Jiu Ge is a Dao guardian. His luck is firm like an unmoving mountain, only people with such intense luck can counter a person like Fang Yuan. If I send other heavenly court Gu immortals over, it would be a mess, Fang Yuan would suppress their luck and he would benefit from the situation instead. Fang Yuan's upper extreme heavenly eagle was a clear example. It could escape from two heavenly court Gu immortals, not to mention Fang Yuan himself. I will let Feng Jiu Ge chase after Fang Yuan and force him to find Red Lotus' true inheritance. Even if he cannot find it, he will continue to expose his trump cards, by the time he expends them, I will go after him personally. Thinking of this, killing intent shined in Fairy Zi Wei's eyes. It was not that she did not think highly of Fang Yuan, instead, she placed a lot of emphasis on him. To kill this complete otherworldly demon, Fairy Zi Wei had to act personally to feel assured. But now was not the time. Firstly, Fang Yuan still had hidden trump cards, he was not in a desperate situation. Secondly, Heavenly Court needed to be defended because Duke Long was deep in Heavenly Court trying to suppress Spectral Soul's main body. Fairy Zi Wei needed to oversee the entirety of Central Continent and send out orders to control the situation. Thirdly, the Great Era was coming, southern border was already having earth vein tremors, Central Continent's location was too disadvantageous, they had to make ample preparations. Even though Fang Yuan obtained self-love immortal Gu, he did not leave Fairy Zi Wei's control. Even though the upper extreme heavenly eagle escaped, it was still being pursued, it was not out of danger. Fairy Zi Wei was more concerned about the stone Lotus Island in the river of time rather than these two. Why did Red Lotus' true inheritance suddenly appear and disappear again? Fairy Zi Wei frowned, she did not understand. With star constellation chessboard, she was one of the three strongest wisdom path great experts in the current world. But against the most mysterious Red Lotus demon venerable in human history, Fairy Zi Wei could feel her own inability and weakness. Oh Red Lotus! Fairy Zi Wei sighed. She knew that among the demon venerables, this Red Lotus demon venerable had the deepest connection to Heavenly Court. In fact, he was once thought to be the future Red Lotus immortal venerable and to become in charge of Heavenly Court. Black Heaven. The yellow-green grass looked like a giant carpet, growing at a part of Black Heaven. Heaven-attached fungi. This was a rank 6 immortal material that only grew in the immemorial 9 heavens. It grew in very specific locations. They had to grow alone without any other Tao marks around them, other life forms, or even any meteorites. But thankfully, the immemorial 9 heavens was huge, even though there were lots of ancient desolate and immemorial desolate life forms around, there was enough room for the heaven-attached fungi to grow. However, there were 2 people on this heaven-attached fungi now. Chirp chirp. Sounds of anxious bird chirping could be heard. A Gu master with the appearance of a young man raised his right hand with difficulty, there was a layer of rainbow aurora light covering his forearm and right hand. This light was very active, it seemed to want to escape from the young man, but it could not. The young man was gritting his teeth, holding on desperately with sweating covering his forehead. Go, Aurora bird! The young Gu master was at his limit, he knew he had to take a risk, he shouted as he pushed forward with his arm. Chirp chirp chirp. At the next moment, the aurora light and chirping became even louder and sharper. Next, the rainbow aurora light jumped out of the young Gu master's arm, jumping into the sky and turning into a bird. The bird wings flapped as the rainbow aurora light shot out at an incredible speed. Boom! With a loud sound, the rainbow aurora bird landed on the heaven-attached fungi nearby and destroyed all of the fungi. After the aurora light faded, there was a tiny pit in the heaven-attached fungi. The young Gu master saw this and was surprised and joyous. He was happy that his hard work after so much training in dangerous situations had paid off. He succeeded in this killer move. He was surprised that this killer move was so powerful, just like what his master said. Master, I succeeded. The young Gu master went to another person and greeted, saying excitedly. Not bad. His master commented plainly. The young Gu master saw his master's expression and the excitement in his heart calmed down. His expression became normal as he paid his respects, saying plainly, I had lost my composure. No worries. The young Gu master's master waved as he walked away slowly. A few steps later, he stopped as he looked up at the sky. He wore a gray hemp garment, it was very simple and plain, but his muscular body could not be concealed. He wore a conical hat. 1. That was large and wide, it covered his face under the shadow, concealing his appearance. Even though he was the young Gu master's master, his appearance had never been seen. The truth was, only now when he looked at the sky, the young Gu master could see his appearance. But he only saw his chin. His chin was wide and thick, it gave people the feeling of steadiness and unwavering determination. Master, thank you for your guidance, if I cultivated alone, how could I have reached such a level? The young Gu master said. His master was silent for a while before speaking slowly, Yi Fan, you are incredibly talented and have great insight. This killer move was created by you using the transformation path and light path understanding that you have, I was only guiding you along. Even though you succeeded in this move, you need to practice it more, beware of your safety, I cannot stay by you. Master, we are going to be separated? The young Gu master asked anxiously in shock. He was Yi Fan of Southern Border. He admired Xianxia and when she became the clan leader, he stood up and helped her resolve many problems of the mortal Shang clan. But there is always someone better than you, Yi Fan met by Ning Bing and suffered a terrible loss, he even went through an experience of being at the brink of life and death. He survived, but was extremely shocked. This unforgettable experience made him contemplative, pondering about life and about himself. Through an unexpected surprise, he met his current master and became master and disciple. To think that his master was a Gu immortal. To nurture this disciple with great talent, he brought Yi Fan to Black Heaven to train him. Even though they spent a short time together, Yi Fan admired this mysterious master deeply. Affinity was needed between people. Some people could live together for a lifetime and still be strangers. Some people could be together for a short while and easily become soulmates. Even though Yi Fan did not see his master's appearance, he could feel the sincerity and kindness from his master. He had complete confidence in his master, he did not suspect that his master had any ulterior motives. Affinity comes and goes, we do not have much of a connection to begin with. After using it up today, our relationship will end tomorrow. We might as well use it slowly and await the future. Yi Fan, do you know why I brought you here? His master said. Yi Fan blinked, Master, didn't you say that Black Heaven restricts my light path, so that it is safe to cultivate here even though it is hard? This is just one of the reasons. The second reason is that I deduced that you have some karma here. His master said in a low tone. Karma? Yi Fan showed a perplexed gaze. In this world, every cause has an effect and every effect has a cause. Look, your karma has arrived. Saying this, the mysterious Gu immortal pointed at the sky. Yi Fan looked over and gasped. Over there, an upper extreme heavenly eagle flew towards the heaven-attached fungi here. What a strong divine eagle. Ah, it is injured. It was getting closer as Yi Fan could see upper extreme heavenly eagle's heavy injuries. Even though Yi Fan met with a good teacher, he was still not a Gu immortal himself. The truth was, even ordinary rank 6 Gu immortals would not know about the immemorial desolate beast upper extreme heavenly eagle. The upper extreme heavenly eagle was currently not clear-headed, its wounds were healing and had not healed. Even though it shook off heavenly court's pursuers, black heaven and white heaven were very dangerous, it was not safe anywhere. When it saw the heaven-attached fungi, it flew over, trying to get precious time to rest. But it did not manage to land on the heaven-attached fungi, it fainted a few thousand steps away. However, Yi Fan's master acted rapidly and grabbed this upper extreme heavenly eagle. His palm was open and using some unknown method, under Yi Fan's surprised gaze, this upper extreme heavenly eagle became smaller and smaller by some effect, landing in Yi Fan's master's palm like a baby chick. Yi Fan's mysterious master stretched out another hand to caress the upper extreme heavenly eagle. Suddenly, the upper extreme heavenly eagle's injuries vanished, it went into deep sleep in a relaxed state. Yi Fan, you are bound by the karma on you, this upper extreme heavenly eagle might be the key to resolving it in the future for you. Bring it by your side, when it wakes up, it will bring you out of black heaven and back to southern border. Master is leaving now. Saying this, the mysterious Gu immortal in a conical hat and grey clothes flew away towards the sky. Master, stay safe. Yi Fan received the little bird upper extreme heavenly eagle and rapidly chased. He had tears in his eyes, he was quite upset. He chased until he got to the edge of the heaven-attached fungi, seeing his master's shrinking figure, he shouted, Master, may I know your name? My name is Lu Wei Yin. His master's voice could be heard softly in his ears. Master. Lu Wei Yin. Yi Fan muttered in a daze. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible. Chapter 1410, Formation Path Immortal Gu, True Inheritance. Chapter 1410, Formation Path Immortal Gu, True Inheritance. Translator. Atlas Studios. Editor. Atlas Studios. Western Desert. Fang Yuan opened his eyes, he saw a jade-green forest. There was a blue lake, it was like a sapphire in a sea of yellow sand, it was extremely beautiful. This was a small oasis, there was a natural spirit spring here. Oases like this were usually the foundation of a mortal clan. If a Gu master stayed here and preserved the spirit spring, if it developed well, it could become a mid-size or even a large-size oasis. Humans chose environments that were suitable for living, and at the same time, they would modify the natural environment to suit their needs. This was the coexistence between people and nature in Western Desert. However, now, this newly formed oasis was going to be destroyed. Because Fang Yuan and the rest would destroy all the traces left behind when they left for a new location. Even though they were hit by Heavenly Court's killer move, they had to guard against enemies in Western Desert, especially when Heaven's Will was plotting all the time. This deduction finally has some results. Fang Yuan let out a breath of air, feeling slightly happy. Ever since he saw the power of inextinguishable star target, he started to resolve this problem. Immortal killer move self-cleansing was good, it had to be used time and time again with fixed durations, but Fang Yuan could modify it to be a lasting move. Fang Yuan had the foundation for this. Because he was a Wisdom Path Grandmaster, and self-cleansing was a Wisdom Path killer move, he could modify it. And he had a crucial immortal Gu. It was because of this immortal Gu that Fang Yuan had great confidence. This immortal Gu was perseverance. Rank 7 Perseverance Immortal Gu's effect was to supplement other immortal Gu or killer moves in their duration. For example, when Fang Yuan became an ancient sword dragon, his sword light dragon breath had to be breathed out each time. But if he used Perseverance Immortal Gu, he could use the sword light dragon breath continuously, until his throat reached its limit. Perseverance Immortal Gu was suited for the modification of self-cleansing. Recently, Fang Yuan had been moving around while deducing. He had finally gotten some results now. He succeeded in making Immortal Gu Perseverance the second core of this self-cleansing killer move. This way, self-cleansing could be used for longer durations. It would get rid of Fang Yuan's unfavorable Dao marks continuously. But this would not be enough to clear all the Dao marks. Fang Yuan had a deep gaze. He did not relax. He knew that another tough problem was coming. Even if self-cleansing could be used continuously, Fang Yuan did not have the time to wait. He was currently being pursued. Even though Heavenly Court's Gu immortals were nowhere to be seen, they might be tailing him already. At any time, it was possible for Fang Yuan and the rest to be pursued and sneak attacked. Using self-cleansing, it would take a month at least to get rid of Fang Yuan's inextinguishable star target Dao marks. In this month, he had to use the killer move non-stop. Inextinguishable star target was hard to deal with. The more Dao marks removed, the faster they regenerated. Fang Yuan had done his best to reach this stage. He could not raise self-cleansing's effect anymore. According to the situation, I need to be on the run at all times. It is impossible for me to get a month's time. And even if I have a month, what about the others? They were also hit by inextinguishable star target. There was no chance of doing so. Fang Yuan's biggest worry was that Heavenly Court would come out and ruin everything when he was about to succeed. If that happened, he would have expended a lot of immortal essence without getting rid of inextinguishable star target. Next, if he fought the Heavenly Court Gu immortals or escaped, inextinguishable star target would regenerate, the Dao marks would grow and Fang Yuan's efforts would be in vain. And self-cleansing is an immortal killer move. Using it would expend not only a lot of immortal essence, but to sustain it, I need to use up a lot of mental energy on it. I have not used this killer move much. I am not proficient with it. Including the times when I will fail, not only will I waste immortal essence and need to heal myself, even without Heavenly Court's interference, I will weaken greatly if this goes on. Escaping to Xianxia Blessed Land is impossible too. Not only I am under Heavenly Court's surveillance and would expose Xianxia Blessed Land's location, the journey is too long, there is too much danger in going there. There is not only Heavenly Court and Heaven's will, Northern Plains even has longevity heaven. Of course, there were difficulties and also solutions. Fang Yuan soon thought of a countermeasure for this. He had enough strength to execute this plan as well. That was to use formation path. He needed to modify the killer move, self-cleansing, into an immortal Gu formation. This was not out of this world. As mentioned earlier, Gu formations were in essence killer moves, but they were formation path killer moves. If Fang Yuan had a self-cleansing Gu formation, it would be much easier. He would need to expend much less immortal essence and mental energy to sustain the Gu formation compared to using killer moves. Furthermore, the killer move self-cleansing was effective on Fang Yuan alone. Other Gu immortals needed to learn the move to use it themselves later. But if it was an immortal Gu formation, then Shadow Sect's Gu immortals could enter the formation and get rid of the inextinguishable star target Dao marks on their bodies. Thus, not only do I need to modify the killer move and turn it into an immortal Gu formation, I also need Gu worms like Formation Plate Gu, Formation Flag Gu, or Formation Chart Gu, and it would be great if they were immortal Gu. Immortal level Formation Plate Gu, Xianxia sect had one. This immortal Gu's effect was to use all sorts of Gu worms to set up a Gu formation on its own. The Gu immortal only needed to provide immortal essence for it, they did not need any formation path attainment. Formation Flag Gu was used to manage a Gu formation that was already set up. When Gu immortals use Formation Flag Gu, they can choose a Gu formation and directly keep it inside Formation Flag Gu. Next, within their line of sight, the Gu immortal can bring Formation Flag Gu and teleport away. After finding a suitable location, they can activate Formation Flag Gu to set up the Gu formation again at a new location. As for Formation Chart Gu, it was a type of consumable Gu. Formation chart Gu recorded the information of a Gu formation. It has a similar effect to formation plate Gu, but the chances of error were much smaller compared to formation plate Gu. These 3 Gu worms suited Fang Yuan greatly. Tremor Desert. This special desert would have intense tremors from time to time. Deep under Tremor Desert, an immortal Gu formation was slowly activated. Han Li walked in with a nervous expression. He encouraged himself. This is the final test of the formation path true inheritance left by Gu immortal Zhen Yuan Zi. Han Li, work hard. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know. Report chapter so we can fix it as soon as possible.